When the glasses are on, the war has begun. IMDb has become a hub for racist, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, and jingoistic white males to vent their frustration by rigging the votes on several titles that haven't even been released yet. This has culminated in the biggest example of voter fraud in the site's history. On September 11, 2016, Terry George, the director of Hotel Rwanda, premiered his new film, The Promise, at the Toronto International Film Festival. The film, starring Christian Bale, Charlotte LeBon, and Oscar Isaac, is about a love triangle set against the backdrop of the Armenian genocide. While it looks like your average sweeping romance set against dark periods of history in the style of Titanic, Dear John, and WALL-E, there was, shall we say, some backlash. At first glance, you would think that this was that awful new Sean Penn film from Cannes, but no. Despite probably less than 500 people seeing The Promise at the Toronto International Film Festival, in just 5 days, the film has garnered over 80,000 votes, and currently sits somewhere at a 4.0. This is due to a number of ignorant Turkish and Azerbaijani users who felt compelled to deny that the Armenian genocide was bad and or ever happened. In retaliation, thinking that IMDb was the end-all be-all of film reviews, spammed the page for The Promise with tens of thousands of one-star ratings. While this is the biggest example of voter fraud in IMDb history in terms of quantity, the past 2 years have been subject to numerous accounts of voter fraud. The first big example was in late 2014 with The Interview. During the Sony hacking scandal where North Korea attempted to get the Seth Rogen comedy pulled from the theaters, 4chan spammed the ratings with thousands of 10-star ratings once voting opened. The film was at a perfect 10 out of 10 rating at one point before people saw the film. It is now currently at a 6.6 because people realize that Seth Rogen is an unfunny racist bastard. Then, of course, there's Ghostbusters, the best comedy of the year, which currently sits at a 5.5 due to thousands of one-star votes from sexist online terrorists. The film, despite being released in the UK and Ireland on July 11th this year, received around 30,000 votes from all over the world to get it to a 3-star rating. IMDb should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen. Then there are some lesser-known examples. LGBT films like About Ray and First Girl I Loved have low ratings despite not having a wide release in America yet. Before its release, The Danish Girl, say what you will about that inaccurate piece of shit, had a 5.5 from a few thousand votes before being released to the mainstream. I recently noticed that 2 films that will be released on November 4th truly show the agenda of IMDb users. Hacksaw Ridge, a film directed by Mel Gibson, has a 9.0, and Loving, a film about an interracial couple, has a 6.4. Need I say more? The Filthy Frank Show and The Drunken Peasants have thousands of votes from their brainless fans. With a 17,000 vote 9-gag raid this Thursday, getting The Filthy Frank Show into the top 250 TV shows. It's since been removed, but come on, guys. Finally, while its main characters are flawed, I firmly believe that Yoga Hosers had its voting rigged, because it's about 2 teenage girls fighting a symbol of the patriarchy. But it gets even more sickening than that. The 3 big targets at Gamergate are also victims of fudged ratings. Brianna Wu's Revolution 60 has a 2.2. Zoe Quinn's Depression Quest has a 3.2. The documentary Game Loading Rise of the Indies has a low score due to Quinn appearing in it. The trolls have even gone out of their way to downvote the film Aftermath because Quinn has a cameo in it. Anise Sarkeesian has it the worst. Not only does Tropes vs. Women in Video Games have a 1.2 when it should have a 9.1, almost anything that she appears in gets flooded with negative votes. Episodes of The Colbert Report, CBS This Morning, Democracy Now!, and Melissa Harris Perry have low ratings with tens of votes simply because she was a guest. Documentaries with appearances from her, like Blurred Lines, The New Ballad, The Sexes, GTFO, and The Sarkeesian Effect, have low scores on IMDb, obviously because of haters. Then there's Birth of a Nation. Yeah, I'm not going to touch that. Either way, this proves that there is an extremely flawed voting system on IMDb. Racist and homophobic trolls pillage films that they haven't even fucking seen. And they're very inconsistent with their trolling as well. So Armenian genocide deniers will be unruly with The Promise, but Holocaust deniers, which are bigger in numbers, haven't done anything about a little film called Schindler's List. The film has an 8.9 and sits at number 5 on the top 250. I would have thought it would be at 7.9 with the amount of Holocaust deniers out there. Maybe the movie's just old. Then again, there already is a big show of sexism in the top 250. The first 22 films on the IMDb top 250 are all male-led. There are only 21 films on the list with female leads. And surprisingly, most of them are animated. Here's the list. And here's my argument against these films. The Silence of the Lambs is extremely transphobic and demophobic. Men only call Ellen Ripley a strong female character because she's sexy and violent. All About Eve paints women as manipulative. Pan's Labyrinth makes it feel like women are only supposed to raise children. V for Vendetta exploits Natalie Portman's body. Passion of Joan of Arc is a film about persecuting women for being women. I actually liked Star Wars The Force Awakens when it first came out, especially its diversity, but then I read Anita Sarkeesian's review and it changed my mind. Gone with the Wind is racist. Kill Bill Volume 1 reinforces the myth that women must kick ass to be empowered. Knights of Cabiria is about a prostitute. It's probably sexist, but I'm not one to slut shame. Network was based on Christine Chubbuck, but they got a male character to be the lead. The Wizard of Oz is stupid. The Help is another white savior movie. That only leaves us with Emile, Persona, and Diabolique, but like many of the films I just mentioned, I haven't seen them. I have a solution to IMDb's problem. First off, if a film like The Promise only premieres in Canada, then only have voting open to people from Canada or the Toronto area. Sure, Turkish people might change their country to Canada or post false release dates, but that's just desperate. Likewise, when Ghostbusters was released in the UK and Ireland, you should have had voting only available to those in the UK and Ireland. After 6 months to a year of the film's general release, have voting open worldwide. It'll have enough real votes by then to make the fake votes not matter. However, this may be a problem, as when a film like First Girl I Loved premieres at Sundance, that would make voting available to everyone in the United States, not just Utah. Well, if the higher-ups at IMDb don't mind, they should make it clear which states the film has been shown in. I mean, the United States is the only country that has states. And this would make sense, as many mainstream films are released in New York and LA before the general release. Also, to minimize the racism, homophobia, transphobia, and sexism apparent in many of these fake and real voters, have all IMDb users and voters identify as feminist. If more people were feminists on the internet, many of our woes that we have today would cease to exist. And don't even think that you'll be grandfathered in. Speaking of which, why is it grandfathered in? What about grandmothered, you fucking heteronormative? So, to recap, if you limit voting to where a film has been released all over the world, and have people be feminists or GTFO, then things like Promisegate will never happen again. Well, that's my new video. I'm really glad to be in Chicago. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to clean this blood stain on the carpet. My roommate Andy said cunt punch that bitch while playing Mortal Kombat, so I stabbed him in the chest. It's fine, Zoe Quinn once stabbed a guy. I'll see y'all later. LGBT films like fuck you, air conditioning. I had it. Alright. Knights of Kabir. It's fine, Zoe Quinn's done that to some guy, apparently. And that's gonna ruin a take. God damn it, I'm almost done with this. Every time those air vents turned on, I was just like... This is over. Yay!